I want to start off with you, Lauren, and get your thoughts and see what the panel think about them, because you've created a bit of a stir since you've been in the country. I suppose you are a provocateur in a way. And one of the things you've had a go at is the concept of multiculturalism. And we in Australia reckon we're pretty good at this multicultural caper. I know America does a great job of it, and Canada is pretty strong as well. But what's wrong with multiculturalism, the immigrant nations having so many different cultures living side by side and getting along pretty well?
Well, the problem is that it's working for now, but we're naive in living in this luxury where, at the moment, we have a majority in Western nations that believe in Western culture and respect Western values. Free speech, democracy, rule of law. But as soon as the people who respect those values become the minority, I guarantee your multicultural paradise is not going to work so well. And because that future is not coming until the next generation, because it's going to be Gen Z or their kids that inherit this disaster, we seem to not care about it. We seem to not care about what the inevitable conclusion of our multicultural open borders policies will lead to. Granted, Australia isn't so bad right now. In fact, you're a dream compared to places like France or Greece.
This is my point. Yeah, I think in Western Europe, obviously, they've got difficulties there, but that's the issue, isn't it, really? You talk about generations. It's understandable, I suppose, new immigrants, if they're adults especially, might have difficulty integrating, but we expect the next generation to integrate more so, and that's been the experience, certainly in Canada, the US and Australia over the years.
Not so much, actually. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, where we have almost half Chinese population. And granted, the Chinese population, they don't commit much crime, so it's not that bad. However, they've bought out most of the property in my city, and that has given them a lot of political clout. That's given them a lot of control over the city. So what we're seeing is we've had the communist Chinese flag raised over our town halls. We've had political meetings starting to be made in Chinese. We've had that culture begin to dominate our country. We live in a cultural mosaic in Canada, and what that means, unfortunately, is that some parts of that mosaic can get bigger and just engulf and take over other parts of it. And right now in Vancouver, that is the Chinese part. And will my kids 50 years from now, will they be speaking English or Chinese in Canada? We don't know, because right now, we are just praising the idea of diversity and multiculturalism and not deciding whether we have any set values, not saying we are a Western nation, we are an English-speaking nation, we value free speech, we value rule of law. If we don't set these things in stone, then why be a nation at all? Why not get rid of our borders and just become post-national, become a part of Egypt, become a part of Sweden? The West, Australia, Canada, we have unique identities, and they have to be defended against people coming in that may want to change them.
Well, indeed, they're the values that attract people in the first place. Sarah, do you see this sort of talk as fear-mongering or a salient warning, given some of the problems we've seen, particularly in Western Europe?
Well, Chris, certainly here in Australia, we are proudly the most successful multicultural country, I think, in the world. And, you know, certainly we have seen an increased focus by our government on the importance of integration. There has been a lot of work done on English, and making sure that Australian citizens have English, and, of course, the Citizenship Minister has a proposal or has a discussion paper in relation to ensuring that when someone is applying for permanent residency, that they have a basic grasp of conversational English. And I think that's a very good thing. It's very good for our economic growth, for our jobs, and, of course, for integration. But I think, Chris, at the end of the day, we are very proudly a multicultural nation. We all come from somewhere else except our first Australians. And we just have to continue to work hard to make sure that we do integrate as a community and as a nation. Yeah,
I think that's important to make those points. And Corey, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this. This is why I think it's worth hearing from Lauren, because you know, you've got to work hard at this stuff. We don't have harmony by accident. And you have to work hard at it.
I need to jump in here.
Just hang on a second, Lauren. We'll just hear from Corey first.
Sure.
I want to make the point. I'm not from somewhere else. I was born here. My ancestors might have been from somewhere else. So we're not all from somewhere else. I'm Indigenous to this country. Multiculturalism is a flawed and failing doctrine. All cultures are not equal. We should defend our cultures. We should stand up for the values that we believe are important and enduring. And we should have no truck for the people that want to come here and colonise it with their own cultural values. And I make the point, over the last 30 or 40 years, when multiculturalism became the doctrine, when Al Grasby introduced it, we've now got racial problems in this country. Today, the Prime Minister acknowledged finally that we've got an African gang problem in Victoria. We know that in New South Wales you've got Muslim enclaves where, you know, they're trying to implement Sharia law and they're trying to challenge the orthodoxies that we have. We have the same thing here in South Australia. Now, the history of Australia and its success has been you're insisting that people who come here integrate, they adopt our values, they become part of the way of life. Now, unfortunately, it's changed because people come here for the welfare checks and the indulgences of the weak people in Parliament.
Yeah, look, Lauren, is this a matter of semantics to a degree? Because people talk about multi-ethnic versus multicultural. I mean, you don't want to take it too far. Of course you don't want to accede to Sharia law, and of course you don't want people not to learn our language and integrate into our legal system and our values, but it's perfectly reasonable, in fact, enriching for people to practice other elements of their culture and share them with people in this country.
Well, I'm so glad that he acknowledged that multiculturalism is indeed failing here, while the other panelists mentioned, oh no, we have people learning English, we have language classes, we have integration. That's not what multiculturalism is. Multiculturalism is not people assimilating. It literally means to have multiple cultures. If one culture doesn't respect the English language and that's not part of their identity, it's not multiculturalism for them to then assimilate and learn English. And this is the great issue. You'll find people say diversity is our strength, multiculturalism is our strength, without even knowing what the word means. So for the Australians to know, much as the Canadians need to know this too, multiculturalism does not mean people of different ethnicities come to your country and then assimilate and learn the language and integrate into your culture. It means they come to your country and they make their own country within your country. They don't talk to you. They don't hire you for their jobs. They don't engage with you. Maybe you sometimes visit each other and you'll try the different foods, whatever. But for the most part, it means segregated different communities with different cultures, which, this is the scariest part, are working towards different goals.